Moving on to award predictions, who I think will win the top awards in the NFL. Starting off with the MVP, I think it will be Patrick Mahomes. Who do you guys got?
To be honest, I think Patrick Mahomes also.
Me too. I mean,
50 touchdowns.
come on, yeah.
First full season in his career, second season overall. I mean,
You can make.
so I think even though he won't be the MVP, I think Offensive Player of the Year will be Drew Brees. Who do you guys think will be Offensive Player of the Year?
Well, during at the beginning of the season, I would say Todd Gurley, but since Drew Brees broke another record, and since he's not going to really win the MVP,
I think they'll give him Defensive Player of the Year. Do you guys all agree on my pick?
which is
We'll all say it together. Khalil Mack.
Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald, dude, come on.
Well, yeah, you can make an argument.
But the thing is, what Khalil Mack did for that team, I mean, he carried that team defensively at least. Aaron Donald, I mean, I think there's other pieces on that defense that have helped them out. He's definitely, don't get me wrong,
Really,
he's the leader of that defense. I will give you that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like the other teammates have not played up to the potential. I mean,
let's say this:
their team gives up so many points, so many blown plays. I think he's made some game-changing plays, but you have a point. I mean,
yeah.
I think Donald should win it, but I'm guessing Mac's probably gonna win it though. I mean,
yeah. How about at the end of the season, this season? Look at the Rams defense and look at the Chicago Bears defense. Mm-hmm. You can make the argument that as of now, the Rams defense, they're not really playing up to their standard based on how much Pro Bowl.
Leading on now to the rookies. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Saquon Barkley.
Baker Mayfield.
Mayfield.
Well, Barkley, Barkley, come on. He's only the third running back in NFL history to have over 2,000 yards from scrimmage.
But Baker Mayfield actually broke Peyton Manning's rookie record.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean,
obviously this NFL is way different than the NFL that Peyton Manning
played. I think he'll get some votes, but I think Barkley. All right, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm gonna take Bradley Chubb from. This is I had a tough time picking who's gonna be Defensive Rookie of the Year because there were a couple players, but I'll say Bradley Chubb. I could have said Derwin James. Who else would you say?
The guy from the Chargers.
That's Derwin James. What about the guy from the Cowboy? What was his name?
Is it Landry? No, I don't know.
Something. We'll put in the title.
LVE.
Yeah, something like that.
Landry.
I'll say Denzel Ward. I'll give.
He was actually not that bad too.
Yeah. I'll go with Darius Leonard of the Colts.
No,
that guy.
He's
amazing season.
This could go to like five different players.
I think it goes Leonard because his team made the playoffs. And not even that, he had an amazing season. I mean, my first time seeing him play was on this past Sunday. I was blown away by his speed. I'm like, this guy's good. He's good.
So we're gonna talk about coach firings. Before I talk about the coaches that got fired, there were 8 head coaches that got fired today. The fact that this is known as Black Monday in the NFL season. What are your guys' thoughts on all 8 of them? That's a lot. That's a fourth of the league.
It's shocking, I guess.
I mean,
some coaches fired were shocking, especially Adam Gase, Steve Wilkes also.
Yeah, well, let's look at the head coaches that got fired. The Bucks fired Derek Carter after I think it was his third season.
I think he deserved to be fired. To be honest,
I think he was kind of in the middle. He had to deal with Jameis Winston suspension at the beginning of the year.
They're doing well with Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, for a little bit, and then they just had to go back and forth with them. Jameis Winston, when he was good, the problem is the guy turned the ball over a lot, and I would have cut him at the end of this year, but they're going to keep him, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. Look at that. Jets fired Todd Bowles. That was kind of deserved. I think the fact that they have their future quarterback, and I don't think he's going to be the right. I don't think Todd Bowles would have been the right guy to develop Sam Darnold. So I think it's much deserved. Now I will say this: Todd Bowles. I don't think he'll become a head coach, but he's going to be a defensive coordinator again. I think a lot of teams are going to look at him from that, and I think he'll do well at that again. Honestly. Oh, yeah. I think he did very well under Bruce Arians. I think under another head coach, I think he'll do very well again. Now we're going to talk about Steve Wilkes. One and done. The 10th head coach since 2000 to be fired. It was, I mean, you know what? The fact that they were the worst team in the NFL this year statistically definitely is deserved. But now that he's been fired, I kind of don't. I'm kind of on the fence about it because I don't know if he should have been fired. I think if any, I mean, the thing is, I would have fired the general managers on some of these teams before I would have fired the head coaches. So, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
I don't know. The thing I've been like really thinking about is like Vance Joseph. I think he was put in a bad situation with Case Keenum. I mean, and
no, I'm talking about Steve Wilkes.
Oh, my
Steve
bad.
Wilkes.
Steve Wilkes.
Well, I mean, his specialty is defense,
and the fact that they had a, I mean, you know, he had a top 10 defense coming from last year, and you know, even though they were without Tyrann Mathieu, you still have some of those, you know, those pieces you have, you know, Chandler Jones, Patrick Peterson, and just unfortunately, I mean, I think a big part of the reason the defense was so terrible was because the offense, they were on the field too much because the offense struggled. You had a rookie quarterback. But, I mean, he didn't make some... I mean, I didn't like him putting Josh Rosen on that drive at the end of that Bears game for him to start. That wasn't the right situation. I mean, the offensive line was hurt. All the injuries. David Johnson, even though I don't think it was all his fault. I mean, Mike McCoy and his offensive play calling. I mean, I was kind of surprised that they fired Byron Leftwich, their offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
I mean, Al Holcomb, the defensive coordinator, he was cut. I think Steve Wilkes... I mean, I think he'll become a defensive. The other head coaching fires that happened, Vance Joseph, he got fired. I think that was much deserved. Yeah. Adam Gase, that was kind of a surprise. I mean, you know, a couple years ago they were in the playoffs. The Dolphins. I mean, the fact that you had, I mean, they were pretty competitive also this year for most of the season. You know, I'm kind of surprised they fired him. And a lot of other teams from reports they want him as a head coach. And I don't know if the Dolphins should have fired him.
Me too. I mean, he was put in a bad situation. The defense his defense didn't help him out. I mean, his defense didn't do that well. His offense, the team didn't have that much talent. So I mean, it was his fault.
Yeah, I mean, some of the other. I mean, they let Sue go. I mean, Jarvis Landry they let go of, and that actually ended up being a bad mistake because he did very well. You would have thought, oh, he's going to the Browns. He's not going to do very well. He really helped Baker Mayfield this year, so I just don't know with that. The Browns. It looks like they're going to let go of. I mean, they haven't let go of Greg Williams, but it looks like Greg Williams is going to look for another job. What is your takes on? I would have thought they'd keep Greg Williams after what he was able to do.
Same here.
I don't know, man. He made. I don't know. I mean,
I mean, I'm kind of surprised this guy's still in the league, considering this guy led Bountygate. You know, I mean, I don't know what happened there, but you know, it's maybe they just want some. Greg Williams is not really a high profile guy to be a head coach, but you know, I think another team will look at. I think he'll be a head coach, but I don't think it's going to be in Cleveland. And the Packers, they had Joe Philbin. They're letting him go after they let Mike McCarthy go. Who do you think could be a potential fit for the Green Bay Packers?
That's a tough one.
Jim Harbaugh.
I think I'm going with Josh McDaniels.
I don't know. That seems like a risk.
Any team that goes after McDaniels is just going to be.
Well, you want to coach.
I don't know, man. I'm not gonna lie. I think he'll do better. To be honest, I think he learned from his mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
The interesting thing is the current defensive coordinator of the Colts, Matt Albert, whatever his name is. He got hired by Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
So Josh McDaniels can put the staff together. So I think, I'm confident. I would be.
Well, it's just under Bill Belichick, the coaches that have been under Bill Belichick to head coach from have just not been good.
Oh, what's his name?
Trisha.
Not him. No.
Not Mangini.
No, the coach in Texans. Bill O'Brien.
He was under the Patriots?
Yeah,
he was.
Well,
he's not really that
good of a head coach. I mean, they have
pretty good though. I mean,
they had a pretty well established defense prior to him. So
I gotta give him credit. I mean, he's still.
I think the best coach for Green Bay is the best coach is finding any defensive coach that Aaron Rodgers respects, and then having his old former quarterback coach as the offensive coach.
Now.
Yeah. Well, he was.
He was.
I mean, I don't think he'll be the head coach, but there's a potential that they could keep him as another coach. And then, I mean, I don't know how this should have happened years ago, but Marvin Lewis is finally gone for the Cincinnati Bengals. It should have happened last year. It could have happened after the playoff debacle. I mean, it could have.
Should have happened. It should have happened against the playoff loss versus the Jets.
Yeah, that should have happened. 12 teams that are in the playoffs. The 20 teams that did not make the playoffs know their draft position for next year in the 2019 NFL Draft. The Arizona Cardinals will pick first overall at 3 and 13. Some of the other top 10 picks that are happening, the San Francisco 49ers, surprisingly, were the second overall pick, I think, especially after losing Jimmy Garoppolo. The Jets are third, kind of a surprise there. The Oakland Raiders, okay, let's just put it this way. You traded Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper, and you still didn't even tank right. Tampa Bay is picking 5th. The Giants are picking 6th. Jacksonville, I mean, you went from that close to being in the Super Bowl to being the 7th overall draft pick. Detroit at 8th, the Bills 9th, and the Broncos 10th. I think the biggest surprise in this is that Cleveland, for once, is not in the top 5 draft picks. They're 17th. Oh my God. Okay, so even though the Cardinals have first overall, what is the likely chance that they take first overall in this next draft?
It depends what they get. Because
now Nick Bosa is the first overall is projected to be the first overall pick, but obviously the Cardinals need to protect Josh Rosen. Need offensive line help. They need some receivers. They definitely need help on defense. They need help all around. But if I was Arizona personally, I would trade down, get a lineman or get a receiver, get something, and then stockpile your draft picks. I think that this was kind of reminds me what the Rams did when they traded that pick to RG3. Unfortunately, that didn't work. When they got all those draft selections, I think the Rams did that again to get Jared Goff as well. But, I think the Cardinals, I think future-wise, if you trade the first overall pick, you might get a first-rounder for next year. You might get a couple other draft picks. I think something that's sought out is I think the Arizona Cardinals, I think they pick first overall in the second round as well this year. So that's another sought-off-after pick for them. So Arizona, I mean, even though they were last, I mean, they have the cap room. They have the first overall pick. I mean, there's pieces to potentially get out of the hole. That's it for my regular season thoughts. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks these two guys for joining me. Check out my wildcard predictions video that will be coming out. Check out my recent appearance on the Guns N' Roses Central podcast. That will probably be my last appearance for a little while. Click like if you like the video, subscribe, and leave your comments below on what you thought of the regular season thoughts and how you thought your teams did this year and what do you want to see from them and what do you hope to see in the playoffs. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks these two guys for joining me, and we'll see you in the wildcard video.